There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
Hey guys, how's everybody going? TGIF, it's Friday, weekend's here, 1 or 2 weekends left in our summer, but hey, we got a stacked show for you today. Today it's going to be all about an emerging category. Now, some of you dealers might already be, doing this type of stuff, and for others, this might be a brand new category that you've been hearing a lot about, and here at CMA, we're definitely focusing on it because we feel that this is certainly a new category that there awaits a lot of opportunity for you guys. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking driver assistance systems, convenience systems, whichever you want to call it. The industry seems to be calling it ADAS. And if we're going to be talking about this category, there is a major player in here that you guys need to know about. There, I guess the mothership would be called Vox Electronics. The brand that we're going to be focusing in on today is called Rostra. So without further ado, we have some experts that will be joining us today to kind of go over parts of the catalog, because I know we've already done a session on this, on other stuff, but there's been some updates, and they're going to come on and tell us what you need to know to prepare for this upcoming fall season up here in Canada. So let's start with the guests. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome the marketing director for Vox himself, and definitely somebody who knows and is very intimate with the Rostra brand. His name is Bill Simmons. What's going on, Bill?
Hey, Ben, how are you?
Super happy to have you on again, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's get on the rest of your teammates here. No stranger to the CMA Connected platform. We'd like to welcome back Mr. Dan Bisceglia, which is the Director of Product Management. Daniel?
Hey, Ben. Thanks for having us back.
Always a pleasure to have you, sir. You seem to have the information that I always want, which is always product related. So, I'm going to be, you know what I do with you when you're on. Yeah. I'm sure you're prepared for it. Okay.
Yes, I'm very prepared.
Last but not least, this gentleman here is the Vice President of Expediter Sales and will certainly lend some perspective to our conversation today, maybe from a sales point of view that would really help dealers kind of connect the dots to what we're going to learn, this category of products in general, and how to translate that into some dollars for your business. How's it going, Michael Lavelle?
Hey, Ben. Thanks for having us back.
I got the whole team. It feels like we're ready to play ball. We've got the offense, the defense, everything's in place. ADAS is a category that, believe it or not, I know you guys are going to be like, no, it's impossible. But I'm telling you, some dealers aren't even familiar with that acronym quite yet. But Rostra has been in the game as almost an OG player in the game. Wouldn't you say, Bill?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Gosh, I mean, going back to the 1980s, we've been manufacturing devices like this, and it's been good for business, and it's something that we hope all the installers will kind of at least dip their toe into a little bit and see how they can benefit these new car sales.
Yeah, absolutely. And from a product perspective, Daniel, in the portfolio of all things Vox, which is obviously gigantic. I don't even have the word for it. Gymongous, I suppose, would be the best word. This category is starting to grow within that Vox catalog, isn't it?
Yeah, Vox was always a player in the ADAS category, and when we acquired Rostra, it really made us a major player in this space. And with the way the industry is today and all the issues and restrictions we have, having an additional category and product to offer your customers is always an advantage.
Absolutely, because we're talking directly to 12-volt specialty retailers. That's who's listening in. That's who we always cater our information and our webcast to. So, on that note, Michael, from a business perspective, there's a retailer has two types of customers, right? They got the walk-in customer, end user, but there's also tons of opportunity on the expedition side of things, isn't there?
Absolutely. And that's, something that we've talked about forever at Vox, and our company really cut its teeth probably more on the expediter side of the business, going back, to the 70s, servicing, new car expediters. And that's one thing that we've always said is, there's no, you can't go into a town and, find an expediter. It's you basically have to groom them to become an expediter, and that's taken place over several decades in the business. But with some of the stuff that Dan had touched on, with all of the logistical issues going on with shipping, the component part shortages. We know that 12-volt retailers especially are really feeling it, because there's almost whole product categories where there's no supply of product, and it's hard to do business that way. So we just want to always keep reiterating that we do have products. These products are in stock, they're available, and we just we're here to help kind of lead them to finding new business opportunities when things are a little different than I think anyone's ever experienced business wise.
Absolutely, and I want to touch on that. The point of this conversation is not to say forget about these other categories, because they're having issues. Everybody's having issues. What you need to do and make decisions for your business as a dealer is to know what your options are, weigh those options, and activate on those options. So what we're showing you today is a category that you may or may not already be involved in. If you are interested in it, you certainly want to continue listening, because there's some really cool and relevant products that we're going to talk about today. And to Michael's point, Daniel, as well, inventory is good on this category, right? So that's another plus, check. So if these opportunities exist, and any good business and entrepreneur should know, they deserve your consideration. And I think that's the message that I wanted to kind of lay out before we get into all this. I'm going to go back to Bill a little bit. We had a chance to connect on a previous episode. We talked a lot about speed limiters. We talked a lot about cruise control. How would you like to begin today's session? What do we want to focus on? Maybe some updates, perhaps.
Ben, I think first and foremost, mentioning the previous CMA Live, we're going to touch on a lot of these topics today that we touched on last time, or last time I should say. We got really deep into the weeds with a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping to first talk a little bit about cruise control technology, some of the upcoming applications that we have, followed by some of the upcoming applications that we have for our speed limiter technology. Both of those are kind of very tightly related categories. And mentioning, of course, if you want any extra details on this stuff to the viewers that are at home or at your shops right now, definitely check out those previous CMA Lives. I guess, Ben, you've got those on your Facebook page.
We're going to make sure in the comments we copy a link to the previous one. So now you have both that one and this one today.
Fantastic. So that'll go into a lot more detail. But whenever you're ready, I'm glad to start talking a little bit about our cruise control tech.
Let's get her done.
All right. So, first and foremost, whenever we talk about cruise control technology, being that, we've got 2022 year model vehicles already hitting dealership lots, I always like to tell people exactly why we're talking about cruise control technology. And the first and foremost reason is that across an entire vehicle spectrum that's available from these OEs, cruise control is still not standard equipment on a lot of these cars, trucks, vans, SUVs, and so on. And some of the feedback that we get from some of the customers that end up coming to us for cruise control is that when they did their test drive on a vehicle, they maybe went around for 10, 15 minutes in the car, didn't really get on the highway. So they didn't actually recognize the fact that the car didn't actually have cruise control on it. So that's one of the things that kind of keeps us in business, is some of these vehicles that don't have cruise control that we can actually offer applications for. And just to touch on the cruise control topic, what I wanted to do was mention one popular vehicle that's coming out that we have a cruise control in development for that should be ready somewhere in the next 6 to 8 weeks. And that is for the new 2022 Ford Maverick. This vehicle is a very industrious little truck that has just been released by Ford. Pre-orders are going on right now, starting back in June. And just this week, if you follow any news about this truck, Ford CEO Jim Farley actually announced that Ford currently has, over the past, let's call it 8 weeks, 100,000 pre-orders for this vehicle. Now, the reason why we're talking about the Maverick here is that it is going to be very popular. It's a sub $20,000 truck. That's for the hybrid powertrain. So they have a hybrid vehicle, a utilitarian truck with a bed on the back of it that starts out at less than $20,000.
Sorry, just I wasn't aware of this vehicle. This is news to me. Is this like kind of in the same category as like a Ranger, kind of like smaller?
You know, this one is actually a little bit smaller than the Ranger.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of diagrams that you can find online that show the difference in the size between F-150, Ranger, Maverick. But of course, it is kind of a rebranding of a classic vehicle, the older Ford Maverick that I think they stopped making in 70s, 80s maybe, that they have now kind of transformed into this pickup truck type setup. So again, just a good utilitarian 4-door vehicle, low on cost. We think it's going to be very popular. I think Ford knows it's going to be very popular with the reservations that they've had. And, you know, the reason why I mentioned the Ford Maverick is because for that less than $20,000 hybrid powertrain, you get the XL model of this truck, which actually does not have a cruise control option at all. If you want cruise control on the Ford Maverick, you actually have to step up to the XLT model truck, which is actually a nearly $3,000 increase in price. So if you're not interested in paying, you know, an extra $3,000 for just a few $100s, you can add cruise control to the XL model of this truck that you got for just under $20,000. And so at Rostra, what we're developing is a complete cruise control system for the 2.5 liter hybrid powertrain, as well as the 2 liter EcoBoost powertrain. And what I've got on the screen here is just some classic components. And Ben, I think you have an installation video that we put together. We'll spend maybe minute and a half if we can, just kind of going over some of the steps that actually go into a cruise control install.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I've never actually seen one installed. So let's go.
Sure.
Let's go to the video.
Great.
And maybe you can voice it.
Absolutely. All right. So on the video that's playing on the screen right now, what we're showing is the T-harness that goes in line with the accelerator pedal on the vehicle. The T-harness has custom fit connectors that connect directly to the accelerator pedal. What we sell with this kit is typically a left-hand mount control switch. So in this video, the technician is just showing you how the 2 halves of the steering column shroud come apart, and you pull those apart. What we're showing here in this quick clip is just how we connect directly to an ignition power wire to actually power the cruise control system. Usually we go directly to a good wire on the ignition switch as opposed to an accessory wire. We solder in all of our connections. We wrap them neatly with a nice electrical tape to keep everything good and insulated during the installation. And what he's doing here is he's just marking a spot that he found to put in the control switch. We drill a 3/8-inch hole in the actual column shroud. And then our control switch that's included in the kit basically goes through that hole and mounts in place with a nut on the back. Now, once you put the column shroud back into place, of course, you can kind of see the control switch there hanging off the side. You now have a switch in place that actually allows you to actually operate the cruise control. So you bundle up all of your wires, you tuck them underneath the dash, you power on the ignition, you use the on-off button to make sure that the system powers on and off, and then you're ready for a road test. So, you know, when we talk about this particular product line, you know, we usually like to kind of relate it to remote start installations. A lot of the installation steps that you have are very similar to that. And we've got installers out there that are adding cruise control to vehicle in less than an hour in some cases. So it's a real neat category to be involved with. And, you know, that hour installation can frankly make you a lot of money.
Well, you know, I'm going to stop you there, Bill. A couple of things I want to ask you about. So you mentioned the similarities with remote start.
Mm-hmm.
T-harnesses, widely available, many applications?
Absolutely. Hundreds of cars, hundreds of different harnesses to choose from. And they all connect directly to that accelerator pedal. So they kind of take over communication with the BCM on the vehicle to hold the speed when you're on the highway, all plug and play.
I only saw one solder. Is there more than one to do?
That's it. Ignition, power, and ground, and you're good to go.
That's it. That's all.
That's it.
And
That's
I
it.
must say, that is a factory-looking controller piece.
It
Like,
is.
you would never know that that's not factory. When I saw it,
Indeed.
the final product,
Yep.
very well done.
Yeah, it blends neatly with pretty much every vehicle interior that's out there.
Okay, very
Yeah.
nice.
Excellent. So with cruise control out of the way, one thing that I wanted to talk about next is our vehicle speed limiter technology. Now, the speed limiters and the cruise controls are very closely related because they all use the same control module. A lot of technology can get packed into that module that's included with these systems, which I'll go into a little bit further down the line. But the enhancement that I wanted to talk about with our speed limiter line is a category that we're working on, which is speed limiters for all electric vehicles. Now, if you follow any news, really, you can open up a paper on any day or look at some news online about municipalities and private companies that are basically swapping out their entire fleet of gas and diesel-based vehicles to run an all-electric fleet. And at the same time, of course, we know that there's regulations with the federal government that is hoping to expand electric vehicle adoption, whether it's for, end consumers like me and you or fleets. And of course, the OE manufacturers are taking notice. I mean, I just talked a minute ago about this, sub $20,000 hybrid truck from Ford. Over the summertime, we also heard about the new Ford F-150 Lightning, which is going to be a sub $40,000 all-electric version of the F-150, which of course we know to be a popular truck. And then over the past couple of weeks, General Motors came out and put out a little teaser, if you will, about the 2023 all-electric Chevrolet Silverado. And of course, there are large fleets of vehicles. If you look in the news, you can see that Amazon is coming out with their own fleet of electric delivery vehicles. So there is a real transformation going on right now with how fleets operate and how they're moving away from your classic gas and diesel engines. So why exactly create a speed limiter for an electric vehicle? And the truth is, it's the same reason we would do it for a gas-based vehicle. When you have a speed limiter on a vehicle, a fleet owner in particular has a real peace of mind when the vehicle's out on the road, knowing that it can't go above a certain speed. And the same thing applies for parents of new drivers. While somebody is an amateur driver, you might want to limit the speed of the vehicle for them. When the speed limiter is installed on the vehicle, the driver themselves has no way of it getting any input into the control module to actually modify that setting. So when it's installed, that top end speed is locked in place. And with our speed limiters, these oftentimes represent just a one-time purchase where once it's installed on the vehicle, the speed of the vehicle is limited without the fleet owner actually having to maintain a subscription to a telematics suite, which could cost them hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars a month based on how many vehicles they have in their fleet. So you buy the
recurring cost.
Exactly, on a monthly basis. So you buy the speed limiter, it gets installed. That's it. You're not paying any extra money for it after that. And, electric vehicles, while they are, of course, packed full of really newfangled technology, the fact remains that they suffer from aerodynamics as well when they're on the road. So the way that we're approaching this category is from an energy consumption standpoint. And the way that we're working with this category presently here in the United States and with an overseas partner that we have is looking at two vehicles in particular, the Nissan Leaf, which is Nissan's all-electric vehicle, and the Mitsubishi IMI EV, Mitsubishi's little electric vehicle. With the work that we're doing, everything is real world testing. We're not doing it on a closed track or anything like that. So we're operating these EVs in city centers as well as wide open stretches of highways. And the chart that I'm going to put up here on the screen is some preliminary data that we've collected. Over on the left-hand side, you can see the speed of the vehicle, kilometers per hour. And on the top, of course, you can see energy consumption from the Nissan Leaf and the Mitsubishi IMI EV. And the trend here is a basic one. Whether you're talking about an electric vehicle or a gas or diesel powered engine, the faster the vehicle goes, the more energy it typically consumes. And the same applies to EVs. If you look at the speed, once we're getting to 100 to 110 kilometers per hour, that's at the really the top end of energy consumption for the EV. So the philosophy that we're looking at here is if we can actually lock out those top end speeds from the driver, what we can actually do is save the fleet owner on energy costs. So in our preliminary data, what we're looking at is limiting the speed beyond 90 kilometers per hour, where we see a major uptick in energy consumption. And with some of the data that we've put together, we are actually, once we lock out those top end speeds, we are at a point where we're saving almost 35% on these two little vehicles alone in energy consumption. So that's 33% energy consumption. Hopefully long term, that of course translates into, a big savings in terms of vehicle maintenance and service and things like that. And of course, the caveat here that I need to throw in is that, results for things like this vary based on driving conditions and temperature. We know that electric batteries, of course, are impacted by, hot and cold temperatures and things like that. But with the first rounds of these kits that we've put together, we're seeing major savings in energy consumption, which of course translates to less money spent for the fleet owner.
This is a great tool, and we'll circle back to this with Michael a little bit after from a sales perspective. If you're talking to a potential fleet customer, if you're providing this type of stuff, these are great tools to close those deals.
Yeah, those are big numbers. And when you can translate that into dollars, of course, that starts to make a lot more sense to people.
Exactly.
Now, when we talk about vehicle speed limiters, again, whether it's for an electric vehicle or a gas or a diesel engine, generally speaking, we're referring to energy savings at the top end of a vehicle's operating range, highway speeds, high highway speeds. At the same time, you have to keep in mind, electric vehicles are heavy cars. A Nissan Leaf, for example, what we're operating here in the States, weighs about 4,000 pounds. That's a small car that weighs as much as something like a Toyota RAV4 SUV. When you talk about slightly larger vehicles like the Tesla Model S, they can get upwards of 5,000 pounds. That's, the weight of a very well-equipped Ford F-150. So those battery packs and those all-electric drivetrains, they weigh quite a bit. So we also have to think about the ways that we can kind of modify and save the customer at the low end of the spectrum, basically where the vehicle is at a full stop from 0 miles per hour forward. And again, in another CMA Live that we did, one technology that we talked about was EcoDrive. Mm-hmm. Now, EcoDrive is basically an extra bit of firmware that we can put on the control module at the time of manufacture. So where if somebody has ordered a speed limiter from us, we can also write in the firmware for EcoDrive that basically limits the driver input into the accelerator pedal when they're, again, leaving a stoplight, leaving a stop sign. So if you have a driver that themselves has a bit of a heavy foot and they really like to jam down on the accelerator pedal when they're leaving from a full stop, then what we can do is basically gently ramp up how much power they have access to when they're starting the vehicle moving forward. Now, this chart that we have on the screen over on the left-hand side references RPMs. Obviously, that's measured a little bit different with the EVs. But the gist of this is we can save money at the top end by limiting the speed of the vehicle, and we can save money at the bottom end, again, whether it's energy consumption or long-term maintenance costs, by reducing how much input they can actually put into that accelerator pedal, just to give a nice gentle ramp up of speed when it's going away from 0 miles per hour. So
just to refresh, when ordering this device, this is something you need to mention at the ordering level, right?
Indeed. So again, there's basically 3 different firmware packages that we can write to our control module. So we can do the cruise control, we can do the EcoDrive here, we can also do the speed limiter as well. So this is one little tiny module that fits in the palm of your hand that has a lot of tech packed into it.
And it's interesting because every electric vehicle I've been in always has that option between an eco mode or a sporty mode, but this locks it in. They can't change it. It is what it is. Even if they put it in sport mode, This is still the curve that it would okay, I understand.
Exactly. It interrupts everything right there at the actual accelerator pedal. So there's no way to bypass that.
Anybody who's ever driven an electric vehicle knows it's super fun to mash it because there's no delay. It just goes. Yeah.
For sure. So if you got some of those in your fleet, you've got some of those drivers with that heavy foot, this will absolutely help out. And so, typical components that we have with these, again, there's not much to these kits. You've got the control module that's programmed right from our manufacturing plant. So somewhat different than remote starts. You're not having to go online and find firmware packages for certain vehicles and things like that. It comes shipped to you ready to go. You've got an accelerator pedal harness there at the top right-hand corner that interfaces directly with the accelerator pedal. And then, of course, we usually have to give some power and ground wires to this system as well. So a couple basic features of this system. Again, we'll have them available for most EV fleet vehicles. Driver can't modify it once it's completely installed. The installation, by and large, is plug and play, similar to our cruise control systems. The module comes packed with the firmware on it, so it's ready to go out of the box. We offer these devices with 4 basic limits, 65, 70, 75, and 80 miles per hour. And then, of course, we can program them directly on the manufacturing line for other speed limits that somebody might like to have. And I believe you've got another video very similar to our cruise control video, if you want to cue that up. Yeah, so here, just like our cruise control video, we're tapping with the plug and play wire directly into the accelerator pedal. Now, just for the purposes of illustration, we've actually pulled the accelerator pedal off the vehicle. You don't usually need to do that on most cars. And of course, that just goes back into place. And again, just like our cruise control, all we're doing is giving it a nice, stable, solid ignition power connection and a good chassis ground connection there as well. And as always, we're soldering. We're not T-tapping. We're not scotch locking. We're soldering directly into that wire, insulating it nicely with some electrical tape. Plug in our connectors directly to that cruise control module, tucking everything away up and nice and neat onto the dashboard. And that's it. That's the gist of an installation of a speed limiter. I mentioned we've got guys and gals out there that are installing our cruise controls in less than an hour. Speed limit's even faster than that because you're not installing a control switch. You're not taking apart the steering column shroud.
I would argue there's some guys out there that can do that in 30.
Yeah. I'd be willing to bet so too. And of course, we've got a lot of great installation videos that show some of these steps on our YouTube page. That's a good library we're going to be building out further and further.
Very nice.
So with cruise control and speed limiter and eco drive out of the way, I wanted to quickly touch on tailgate camera relocation kits. Again, previous CMA Live, you can find us going really deep into the weeds with this product category and how you decide what truck needs what. But I want to always talk about what they are, tailgate camera relocation kits, and why they're needed. Now, the kits that we sell basically allow you to relocate the factory backup camera from within the tailgate handle of the truck to somewhere else. And that somewhere else means a lot of different things. But these kits are very flexible, and they allow installers to move the camera somewhere else so that they can keep that backup camera functionality on their truck. Ben, I think the Canadian government, as well as the US government back in 2018, mandated that vehicles coming off the production line had to have backup camera functionality. So for somebody who's removing the tailgate from the truck, they instantly lose that backup camera functionality. So the kits that we offer allow you to retain that really, really important safety feature that, it's a federal law that you have to have that on the vehicle. Now, some of the common reasons why somebody might remove the tailgate or the bed from their vehicle: to add equipment like an aftermarket service body. Perhaps they do fifth wheel towing on a regular basis, which just kind of makes the tailgate in the way. So a lot of people will remove it altogether. Perhaps somebody's added aftermarket equipment like a camper shell or a fiberglass shell with a full walk-in back door. That removes the tailgate. Folks that are into off-roading will oftentimes use tire carriers to carry spare tires and gas cans and things like that on the back of their vehicle. And once you put something like that on a car, typically it always falls right in the way of the tailgate handle. So your backup camera becomes, completely useless at that point because it's pointing at a tire. And then, of course, a lot of people, of course, businesses order your cabin chassis model trucks, which don't have a bed, they don't have a tailgate, and all of this is just to say, of course, that Rostra has you covered, no matter what application you're running into, with trucks going all the way back to 2010 and so. We've got kits that allow you to move that tailgate camera, and thinking about some of these older kits, we see there's a move away from large connectors like you have on the screen here, which may have 6 or 8 or 10 or 12, or in some cases like this one, 30 different pins on them, to a much simpler backup camera technology called LVDS. Now, LVDS backup cameras have small connectors like the one that you see on the screen here. They are basically a single pin connector where for the backup camera, we have one wire that basically carries that entire feed. So you're in and you're out and you're done, and it's easy to identify the harnesses. Now, with the LVDS kits that we offer, we have them in 3 different varieties. We offer just a camera relocation housing where if somebody wants to remove the factory camera from their tailgate, they can put it in this housing and then they can relocate the camera onto the surface of whatever equipment they've added to the back of their truck. Again, whether it's a service body, fiberglass shell, what have you. And, the housings themselves are useful when you're not getting the camera too far away from its original mounting position in the tailgate handle, left or right or up and down from the ground. So these housings allow you to use that original camera and use the original wiring on the truck to retain that backup camera functionality. If instead somebody needs to move the camera further away, let's say they've bought a service body that's got big swing open doors right in the middle, you don't really have a good place to mount a camera. What we offer is the plastic housing combined with something like our 5-meter harness that actually allows you to move it again up above the doors, maybe down below the doors, left or right if you have to. And then for somebody that, again, maybe they ordered a cabin chassis model vehicle, or perhaps the installer or the vehicle owner doesn't want to go through the hassle of actually removing the camera from the tailgate, we actually offer the housings with the extension harness with an OE camera. So this would be an all-in-one kit that allows you to keep that backup camera functionality, or on the newer vehicles, that 360-degree camera functionality as well. So these keep that really important safety feature and just allow you to relocate it elsewhere once you've removed the bed or the tailgate from the truck. And, thinking about some of the newer applications that are out there, we just recently launched a tailgate camera relocation kit for the 2021 Ford F-150. 2021 was actually the year that Ford started with the 360-degree camera system on the Ford F-150. So if you've got that nice large 12-inch monitor in the dash and you like to keep that view of the vehicle from all sides, if you've removed the tailgate, you basically have a blank spot in the feed behind the vehicle. So this kit right here that you have on the screen is the custom plastic housing that we put together for the F-150, the 5-meter harness that we have, as well as an original camera. And the housing that we have right here is, as I mentioned before, we sell, give you the ability to extract that camera from your tailgate, mount it into one of our housings, and use an extension harness to actually locate that camera elsewhere. And as we have down at the bottom of the screen there, these kits are available now. So we talked about them in our last CMA Live, but these kits are now ready to go for the 2021 Ford F-150 with that 360-degree camera package. And then beyond that, just an application update, the LVDS camera systems that we have for these Ford Super Duty trucks have now been validated to work on the 2022 model Super Duty trucks. So that's just a little tidbit for the installers out there that we're waiting for that update. And so that is kind of it for the backup camera technology right now. And again, if you go back to that previous CMA Live, you will actually see a much more in-depth conversation about
I've gone ahead and pasted that link into the comments. It'll follow this video, so
thank you.
Anybody can refer to that.
Awesome. Now, when we talked last time, we were kind of short on time. So one product that we didn't actually get a chance to talk about is Source Power. Source Power is a product that we sell here at Rostra that allows you to easily power any sort of device that needs an ignition or an accessory power source, but you don't actually have the information about where to pick up that on the vehicle, or you don't want to tap directly into those electronics on the vehicle. So what Source Power is a little device that fits in the palm of your hand. It has a 7.5 amp fuse built into it. So with the source power device out of the box, you can power accessories up to about 7.5 amps. We have an instruction on our website where if you need to use the source power to actually kick a relay on and off to power something, 30 amps, you can certainly do that. But the source power device has a programming button built into it that actually gives the installer access to different features within the device. And again, we're connecting directly to the battery, so the source power unit knows when the engine is running and when it's not, to actually provide power to those accessories. But the programming switch that we have gives you access to one of 3 different modes. We have a feature where out of the box you can connect directly to the positive and the negative of your vehicle's battery, and the device knows, because it can tell from the charging system when the car's running, when it's not, when it can output or when it needs to output power to the accessories that it's connected to. So that's function 1 right out of the box, no programming necessary. Now, the second feature that this has is actually a timer feature. This means that we're connecting directly to the battery. We're using the programming switch to tell the unit how long you want the accessory to stay on after the ignition has been turned off. And that's important with a lot of vehicles nowadays when we talk about start-stop technology. Let's say, for example, that you're on a road trip and you've got your Vox DVD and smart TV player in the TV back behind you, keeping the kids entertained. You don't want that stuff turning off every single time that you come to a stoplight. So you can use a device like this to actually keep those accessories on, even when you've actually come to a stop and that automatic start-stop from the manufacturer has turned the engine off. So you can program that to actually run your electronics for up to 90 minutes. Now, the third feature that you can program into this device is what we call battery saver mode. And what we can actually do is tell this device to keep the accessories on until the battery gets to a certain voltage point. So the idea here being, let's say you've parked your car and you've got a dash cam, for example, that you'd like to continue running after you've parked the car and after you've left the car. You don't want to come back to the vehicle with a dead battery. So what the source power unit can do is actually go ahead and keep that accessory on until the battery reaches a certain lower threshold, and then it will actually turn the device off. So to keep the device running, and then you never have to worry about actually coming back to a dead battery just because you want to, for example, record some extra video from your dash cam after you've parked.
You notice I have this evil looking face because this whole time, that from the moment you put that on the screen, the one thing I was thinking about is this will be an awesome solution to power your dash cams without killing your battery and not being able to start when you get back. But I don't know what the specs are of what the consumption of a dash cam system would be like. I'd love to hear it if anybody has comments about that, of how long an estimated time of activation would be until this thing would kick in. That'd be interesting to know.
Sure. Yeah. Again, it all depends on the dash cam system you've got, whether you've got one or two or 4 cameras. With a single camera dash cam, you could have the thing run all night and still not come back to it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is a great, easy upgrade or an upsell, right? If you're into that market, which most of our dealers are. Very nice.
And when we sell these, we sell them in 10 and 25 packs. And our
this is not a high cost item, right?
No, very low cost. Very low cost. And it's one of those things where, you're not searching around for an ignition power wire. If you're used to using DirectTex, for example, through the Vox University to actually find an ignition power wire and there's not one listed there, you got a device like this, which you can just connect directly to the battery, knows when the car's running and when it's not, and when the electrical system is charging. And, we oftentimes talk about these in terms of cars and trucks and SUVs, but, it can work on heavy equipment as well. Maybe somebody needs to run
power sports.
Yeah, power sports and LED lighting and all those things you might use off-road. Just fantastic for that kind of stuff.
Sorry, my brain is going mile an hour right now. I'm just thinking of the application of this, especially on like heavy duty equipment. If you're working in a field and you need lighting to continue going, but you don't want to keep on running that motor. Perfect.
Yeah, and our recommendation to the installers is when you're ordering your electrical tape and you're ordering all your
get a couple of these
connectors and all that. Yeah, go ahead and throw a pack of these in so it's sitting on the shelf. So you run into a problem where you just want to make a job much quicker. You've got the source power unit you can use to do that. And
it's a enhanced service that the customer will enjoy.
Yep, absolutely.
Very
And
cool.
again, Ben, with something like this, you know, it'll power out of the box something up to 7.5 amps. But of course, like I mentioned, rostra.com/support. We've got a PDF you can download that shows you how to wire it into a 5-terminal relay. So if you need to, power something that uses more energy draw, seat heaters, for example, you can absolutely do that.
Oh my God, seat heaters.
Yeah. Yeah.
You live in the North, Bill?
I live in the South, but I like my seat heaters.
Okay, because we love our seat heaters up here. I'm just saying, that's
It
interesting.
just makes that installation so much
Dan,
better.
didn't we talk about this in the previous one? I don't know if it was if you were on that one, but yeah, we're talking about remote start and seat heaters. This could be an interesting.
It is that season here soon for sure. So go ahead and load up on some source power devices.
There
as
we
well.
go. Very cool. Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you. Now, outside of source power, I did want to hand the discussion over to Dan as well, who's going to talk a little bit about our new commercial blind spot system.
Oh, blind spot. Yes.
Yeah, Ben. So we did mention this the last time we did a CMA live with you, but I wanted to talk about it again because it's going to be arriving here in our warehouses, so we'll have it available to ship. This is the first aftermarket commercial blind spot system on the market. As you can see here, it's packaged as a complete kit. So it'll come with 2 sensors, all of the cabling and everything you need to install it. This sensor housing is an external housing. So as everybody knows, all the microwave blind spot systems, they cannot penetrate metal bumpers. So traditionally on any of the Vox product or any of the competitors' product out there, if you were installing a microwave or wireless blind spot system, it's installed behind the bumper. Unfortunately, we can't do that on metal vehicles, and especially these fleet vehicles with the service bodies or box trucks. So we came out with this external housing that mounts to the side of the vehicle. Very easy installation. You just need to make sure that this is plumb and level on the side of the truck, and then it wires into the control module. Bill, if you want to jump to the next slide. So you can see here, this is it mounted on the side of a utility van. Mounted just behind the rear tire there, and it's going to pick up any of the vehicles that enter into the blind spot. When a vehicle is detected, it'll light up the LED that you see here on the pillar. When you're installing these LEDs, you want to make sure that they are in view of the side view mirrors. So as you check your left and right mirrors before changing lanes, when that LED illuminates, it'll illuminate right in your eyesight. And then as you're doing your installations on some of these vehicles, sometimes they're traditionally longer than some of the vehicles that we've had in the past. So we have sensor extension kits. Out of the box, the sensor harnesses are 7.5 meters long. That's roughly about 24 feet. We sell this sensor extension kit that are another 7.5 meters long. So we can cover about 48-foot vehicles. So you could do this on a pickup truck. You could do it on a utility van. You could do it on a 40-foot box truck if you needed to. So we think this is going to be a really great category for Rostra, and it can be a definite add to some of those vehicles that we couldn't have touched before with the traditional automotive blind spot.
Did we talk about, or maybe I already asked this question, forgive me if I did, would this work in a trailer?
Yeah, it could work on a trailer. We don't have the extension harnesses for the LEDs, so you may have to extend that yourself, but you could absolutely mount it on a trailer if needed.
Because that would be a very interesting application, especially if, guys with RVs pulling trailer. I mean, these are long convoys. I mean, and that external housing just solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And that external housing does have a reflective material on it. So it is functional. It's not just a black box that's stuck to the side of the van or to the truck. So it'll add some visibility to that vehicle as well. So quickly, I wanted to bring up the website and show everybody our website page for this product. And the reason I wanted to do that is I think it's a really great tool that shops could use to sell the product to the customer that comes in. It talks about all the different types of detection that blind spot systems, and in particular this commercial system, will give to you. So the first one is what we call BSD, or blind spot detection. So as you can see here, our vehicle in red is driving along the highway, and we have the vehicle in white approaching from the rear. Now, as that vehicle enters the blind spot area, it's going to illuminate that LED. When the LED is illuminated, that's showing you that the vehicle is in the blind spot. And if you were to activate your turn signal with that LED on, you'll get an audible beep, and the LED will rapidly flash to give you a warning so that you know not to change lanes. The second feature that this product has is called Overtaking. So a lot of the older blind spot kits that we've had haven't had this feature. And basically, this is going to notify you as you are passing another vehicle. So we're overtaking a vehicle on the highway. That vehicle enters our blind spot, and then the LED will come on to let us know that the vehicle is there. Once that vehicle clears our blind spot, the LED will go out, and now we know that it's safe to pass and change lanes. And then, of course, the last feature is rear cross traffic. So this kit will detect a vehicle approaching from the left or the right as you're backing out of a parking spot, and it'll give you a warning so that you can stop and allow that vehicle to pass. So all three of these features are available on this product, and it can add some safety to all of the commercial and fleet vehicles out there. And again, it doesn't have to be a commercial or a fleet vehicle. It can be a standard pickup truck as well. Most pickup trucks have metal bumpers, and unfortunately, you can't add those traditional blind spot kits to those. So now we have an option for those vehicles as well.
Very, very cool. And I do want to note here that in the rear cross traffic, you're getting, approximately 25 feet of range of detection on either side. So, I mean, I know this is not necessarily to scale, but 25 feet is a really nice comfort zone to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very cool. Okay. And kudos to whoever did these animations. I just want to say they're pretty spot on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a really great sales tool to talk to the consumers about the different features that they're getting. They can visualize it so that they understand exactly how the system's going to work once it's installed on the vehicle.
Right. All right. So let's just review a little bit of what we learned today. The beginning, we had some updates. The Ford Maverick, going to be a huge player.
Yes.
So guys, Ford Maverick, look into it. Rostra's got you covered when it comes to cruise control and speed limiter, right?
Yep.
We're talking about new speed limiter applications, more specifically electric vehicles, and
Yes.
you brought some great arguments and points as to why that's going to be a thing. Save some money, right? Get rid of the higher range of speed, and control the accelerator pedal and not be, what do they call it? Insane mode or whatever it is on the takeoff. And then we talked about relocation systems for factory rear backup cameras. So we got lots of different solutions, including the brand new updated application for the new 2022 Ford F-150, as mentioned. And we talked about that cool little device, the source power unit. Make sure you include that in your next order, guys, because there's like a million different applications for that. And it's something that you just add that extra level of bespokeness to your install when you're presenting something like that to your customer. And last but not least, we covered the new commercial blind spot detection kit, which overcomes the challenges of metal surfaces for sensors. And that is now shipping or shipping soon? I didn't catch that part.
That'll be shipping soon at the end of the month.
At the end of the month. So, right in time for fall. Did I catch that? Was I paying attention, guys? That was pretty much it.
You got it.
All right. So we got a few minutes left here. And this is where I direct. And you know what? Thank you, Michael, for staying in. And I'm sure you already know everything that was presented today. But of course, we do appreciate you being there.
Sure.
What does this mean when you hear these type of products coming out? Share with us a little bit of the conversations you've been having with distributors and dealers in this category for one. That's part one. And more specifically, the type of product that we looked at today together.
Yeah, well, this category is one of the key categories that we focus on, certainly within the Vox world. And, it's something that because of the adaptation of these types of products on the OEM level, with used cars being extremely important to dealerships right now. If these products and features aren't already, present on those vehicles, you can add them. And, when we have conversations with expediters in today's world, where new car inventories are really an issue in a lot of cases. The pre-owned side of the dealership is an important place to focus on. And these are the types of new technology products that can really complement a vehicle that, all right, maybe it doesn't check every box, but you have the ability to add some of these newer technologies to a 5 or 10-year-old vehicle that didn't have it from the factory. And then going back to the products themselves, just kind of going back through everything that was presented today. When it comes to cruise control products, I think a lot of people within the automotive industry are under the thought process that because of all the component part issues and chip shortages that are going on, I think everyone really believes that a lot of the vehicles as they come in, the new vehicles, might be decontented to a degree. So, when it comes to a product as basic as a cruise control system, I think there might be a lot more opportunities there than there may have been in the past, just because the OEMs really want to get vehicles sold more than anything, as they can make them available. In some cases, they're sitting in fields waiting for IC chips to be put in them. So there's a lot of pent up demand that I think that'll be very helpful to that type of category. When it comes to the speed limiters, that's a category that we believe we can grow a lot this going forward, especially on the EV side of things, because the one thing with being able to limit whether it's the speed or the acceleration with anyone that has an EV, but especially a fleet operator, the performance of the efficiency of the vehicle is vital. You do not want to have to take a vehicle off the road because the driver ran through the battery faster than his counterparts.
And what about the range?
Right. That's
one of the
something that
downfalls
everyone
of range.
has, is range anxiety with EVs. So being able to assist and provide a fleet operator a more efficient fleet, based on limiting what the driver's input can do to the battery level is really important. And we're already starting to see a lot of those conversations. Certainly as the F-150 Lightning makes its way into the fleet arena, that is going to be a very key vehicle, because most light vehicle fleets are based on a pickup truck like an F-150. 100%. And with gasoline prices surging everywhere, the electric vehicles are going to be even more attractive as long as they're available. But being able to control that range anxiety, I think, is more important, because in a lot of cases, they're not going to have the convenience to just pull into a gas station and fill up the vehicle. To charge a vehicle from that's totally dead takes amount of time that you don't want to take on a service vehicle.
And we haven't even mentioned, everywhere is different, of course, but the different type of incentives that organizations, governments, whatever, are putting into play to incentivize businesses to go green and go with, electric.
Absolutely.
So there's that as well. Now, I'm gonna put you on the table a little bit here, Mike, because not every day I have an expert like you with us. Some of the feedback that I've heard from dealers so far has been, I hear you talking a lot about ADAS, and you guys are pushing it a lot. I know our distributors have these products, but can I be honest with you, Ben? Like, nobody ever comes in asking for this stuff. I want to know what you have to say about that.
Well, I think, we hear that in some other product categories, is they're not asking for it. But, that's where we do look for assistance from the dealer base. We're here to help. We have a lot of marketing materials. We typically will say yes to a lot of things that customers ask for to help them present products. We have a lot of different resources as a company. And of course, being one of the bigger vendors in the space, we do have to do some of the heavy lifting to promote categories. But it's
just to be clear, you're not one of the biggest. You are the you are the biggest by a landslide. But is it possible that this is one of those things that you got to kind of go get?
Absolutely, and I think we touched upon that in the last meeting that we had. Was that's something that I think has always been the case, and especially going back to the beginning of the meeting about how we've groomed expediters over the years. Expediters basically came from retailers that were 12-volt installers. And our products can't be sold to the general public. We can't just slap them on Amazon and sell them. We need the installer base. And, so we want to do whatever we can to help them. And, with the way the products are today and, the shortages everywhere, we have the products available. We have the resources that we can make available to help you. But yes, it's definitely a product category that you have to go and sell. And that's somewhat of a lost art in some cases, that you have to maybe get out of your comfort zone and go outside of your shop to solicit business. But we know it's there. We're going to a fleet show next week, and the attendance is there. There's a lot of companies exhibiting, and there's a lot of money being made in that space that the traditional 12-volt retailer is kind of not paying attention to. And we always just have to keep beating that drum that, hey, you got to pay attention to what's going on, because they have all the tools necessary to target that business. They have the experience, they have the installation capabilities that are required for these types of products.
I'll end it on this as my two cents. If this was an important category, a company like Vox would not have recently acquired Rostra. That's number one. And number two, I firmly believe, I will continue messaging this. This is maybe the industry's best kept secret. And it shouldn't be a secret, because there's just so much need for this everywhere. Municipalities, agencies, companies, fleets. The list is endless. And like Michael said, you have to go get a little bit. But what good business is based on you sitting on your laurels? Right? I mean,
right.
You guys listening, you guys are hustlers, right? You guys got to where you are today, not because you decided to sit back. You went after it. Yep. Here's something you guys should take a closer look at and go after. Gentlemen, that was a fantastic session. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Bill, for bringing the presentation, the updates, and so forth. As mentioned earlier, we made reference to a previous Rostra video that we did together on a previous Connected session. I've gone ahead and pasted that in the comments, so make sure you take a look at that. Otherwise, let me put up the digits. If you guys are interested in Rostra product, obviously it's owned by Vox Electronics, but check out their website, rostra.com. Every application, everything you need to know is on there. And to Michael's point, you can't do it. There is no add to cart button on this website. They don't sell. They rely on you guys, the installers, to put this type of stuff in.
Yep.
So on that note, can't thank you enough for joining us today, guys. Hope you have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, that was Team Rostra joining us for a Friday edition of CMA Connected here. ADAS, we're going to be talking about it during our workshops as well. You've seen the announcement. It's going to be an ongoing focus for us here at CMA to let you guys know and keep you updated on what's going on in that category, because we truly feel there is tons of potential in there for all you retailers out there, right from coast to coast. Thanks for joining us for yet another lunchtime learning session. I bid everybody a great weekend. Go out and enjoy it. School's back soon. If you have family, kids, take advantage. There's only 1 or 2 weekends left. On that note, my name's Ben Wu. Thanks for watching CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. Until next time, we connect.